stay. If I break away, oh, stays your face, piece by piece, take it down. I call a case. Disassociate the feeling. I won't stay. I won't stay.
Hi, welcome. Today we are having our Grain of Salt's first sit-down in-person interview. I'm your host of the evening, Juana Moya. I'm a staff writer for Grain of Salt, and today I'm sitting down in her recording studio with Phoenix James. Phoenix, how are we feeling?
I'm doing great. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Again, thank you for having us in your recording studio. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the kind of music that you make, and just a little bit of background.
Okay, so I'm 18 years old. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, but I was raised here in Miami. And I make alternative R&B, contemporary R&B. I'm a producer, songwriter, engineer now.
Yeah, so you do it all yourself,
yeah,
bro. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It's a bunch. You have to do all of this on your own.
It's a lot. I don't mix my own music because it'll drive me crazy, but I do most of it.
So first question of the little interview. It's a big one. It's a good one. So how'd you first get started with music? Was it like something that you grew up around, or did it come in a little bit like more gradually as you came into, your music journey? How was that?
So I've been obsessed with music since I was like super little. I was always like getting in trouble for like taking all the pots and pans out of the kitchen and like banging at the top,
really
like
nice,
the
yeah.
loudest volume possible. And then around like age 5, 6, I started asking my parents for guitar. And then they got me into lessons. I started playing guitar at 7.
Yeah, they
and
were
then
super
from
supportive.
there, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My parents like just allowed me to do that because I came from a creative, not necessarily creative, but a household that was involved in the arts. And so took guitar lessons from there. I went to performing arts school.
Where we met.
Yeah, where we met.
Yeah.
I started playing bass there, and then I started producing like around like middle school.
Oh, okay. So
like,
your first instrument was guitar, and then you went into bass, which is like, do you prefer the bass over the guitar, or is it like still like a push and pull kind of thing?
I think now I've been pretty obsessed with the bass, just because music doesn't feel full without the bass, like at all. I love bass, and playing it is so much fun. It's just a sexy instrument.
It really is. I've seen you play it, and like you're totally into it, 100%. So, what was the moment for you, learning music and like playing all of this in school and everything? What was the moment that you decided music was something that you wanted to pursue? Like, what was kind of the catalyst?
The funny thing is, I feel like there was never a moment. It was just like, I'm just gonna keep doing this and keep going. I never had like a light bulb where I was like, this is what I want to do. No, it was just like, I'm doing this.
Yeah, so there was never like a movie moment. It was just kind of like a fact of
right.
life.
I just assumed like that's what I was gonna be doing for the rest of my life.
You just assumed.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with one of my music teachers, and he was like going like across the room. He was like, oh, this person's gonna be a doctor and you look like you're gonna be a lawyer. And he looked at me, he was like, you can't even live without music. And he just like moved on. I was like, it's true. Like I never
it seems
even
like
thought.
a really harsh kind of
but it was true.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it worked out.
Yeah, no. He was just assuming that like most of the people weren't gonna move forward with music like in their futures, and he just was like, you're definitely not gonna stop.
And that's why we're sitting here today.
And it's an obsession.
For this little interview. Yeah, of course. And your music so far has been just phenomenal.
Thank
like
you
from
so
everything
much.
that I've heard. So were there any pieces of music or artists that like really influenced you when you were a kid, and then, or does it change like every now and again where like you fall in love with one artist or with one sound and then you flip-flop over to the next?
I think depending on the sound I'm going for, like the focus. So say I'm working on a project, I'll look to one artist for maybe some songwriting inspiration in terms of their songwriting style, or like a producer for the type of music. So if I want to make something super hype, I'll turn to like Timbaland, even Pharrell, like something super groovy. But my main like influences are like Frank Ocean. I love lyricism, so like that's what I really go for. Frank Ocean, Tom York, from Radiohead, Amy Winehouse. Those are like the three like main people that I really like draw inspiration
that you really
from.
like
Lauryn
resonate
Hill,
with.
yeah. Exactly, because they're super versatile too. So
So when it comes to writing your own music, and you know, since you do write your own music and stuff, how did you first get started sitting down, making, mixing, producing, and then putting it out? Like, how was that process, technically speaking?
My first song I remember was like a Mother's Day song I made when I was
That's actually really sweet.
10, and it was literally just like a loop I found on GarageBand, and then I just was singing over it. That was my first time just like having the concept of recording, writing a song, and then bouncing it and like giving it to somebody as a not putting it out necessarily, but giving it to somebody as a gift. But the process, it's really changed like depending on the type of song I'm making. Sometimes I'll make the beat first, especially since I produce too. It's all intertwined. Like I'll literally be making the beat at the same time as I'm recording or like adding stuff, taking away, grabbing. Like this room is a mess when I'm like the guitar is like on the ground, like the bass is like somewhere like trying not to fall.
Yeah, just all over the place.
All over the place, exactly.
It's like a organized chaos kind of.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that, and sometimes it's super streamlined where I'll sit down with like a loop, or I'll write the whole song out in silence, like all the lyrics in silence, and then I'll have a beat and just put whatever I wrote over that.
When you're in my city, hit me up. Don't ask me where I stay at. You know where my place at. Pull up just so I could call you bluff. How could you just say that? You know that I'm amazing.
Is there like a favorite part when it comes to the production of the song, or like a part that you look forward to most, where you're like, yes, I'm finally here, let's do it, and then you just churn it out like that?
I think when I've like found out the arrangement of the song, because I mean I can have a loop forever, but having an arrangement that builds and like releases, and then having that done so I can add and take away stuff is the best, because then I can start writing.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a foundation.
Exactly. It's the foundation, and then I really start writing the song.
Yeah, it's about that I'm imagining like Lego bricks
in
terms of the song. Like you're gonna put this piece in, and you're gonna take another piece out, but this piece is also kind of cool. Yeah.
Exactly. It looks like that visually too. It's actually kind of funny.
Right. On the what program?
Logic Pro X.
Yeah.
Not a fan of Ableton.
We're not sponsored by Logic. I feel like we should put that out there right now. And this is not a sponsored thing, but Phoenix uses Logic, so it might be kind of good.
Right.
Just maybe a little bit good. Right. So in like your previous work, because you already have an album out, right? Awfulsome. It just hit its 1 year anniversary, kind of.
1 year old.
So are there any feelings, ideas, or vibes that you include more in your previous work that you kind of like grew out of, or that you like still have like close to your heart when you make like newer things? Or is it just like constantly fluctuating like ideas and sounds and things like that?
I think that when I'm making just singles, if I have a concept for a project in mind as a whole, I'm gonna try to make it as cohesive as possible in terms of like the theme. With Awfulsome, I was really just trying to find out. It feels like more of a compilation than an album. Like find out what my sound was, because I'm going through drum and bass, I'm going through house, I'm going through like some hip hop stuff. And then some more like traditional R&B stuff. So I was really just trying to understand who I was as an artist and like what my writing style was. I think I fell into that like heavy.
Yeah, so it was like a lot of experimentation.
Yeah, exactly.
And just like seeing what worked for you, what you enjoyed most. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and then with the project I'm working on now, I think I'm getting out of the more bouncy, rappy, singing vibe and like really singing and like bringing my voice to like the middle of the production. So the production is like super empty, and like my voice is like just there.
So it's like carrying that, and again,
exactly.
Like with the storyline that you were talking about earlier, you're incorporating that in the new project as well?
Storyline, it's more this project that I'm working on. It's called New Stages, by the way.
Is it an EP or an album?
EP.
Okay.
Yeah. It's 5 songs, and it's more about, I think, exploration of self. I don't really talk about like relationships that much. I think in Awfulsome I was talking about like relationships with other people, a lot of external stuff. This is more of the internal, and I think that as I grow, like as any artist like grows as a person, that's gonna reflect in their art.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's really just a reflection of myself. Yeah,
because with a lot of artists, like I'm just bringing up Rex Orange County for example. Like a lot of people go like, oh, Apricot Princess, like that's the depressed album.
Yeah,
and then Pony is like the the new like coming
I'm new.
like
yeah, I've
like,
grown, yeah.
mhm.
And especially coming into like adulthood, like
Right.
during a pandemic, like we're all super confused, so that was like really cool to just release everything.
Right, and of course, and it's all been like stuff that's been building up for you,
Right.
I'm gonna assume, and then you used, you know, this project as a kind of way to like put it out onto paper and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool, you know,
Thank you.
because this has been crazy recently.
It
man.
has
It's
been, yeah.
insane, bro. So in playing music live, which
Right.
is like a thing of the past, you
Mhm.
know, and then it's coming back
Oh.
slowly but surely. It's gonna come back. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It made me sad. I was like, damn.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So in playing music live and in having people listen to your music, what has their feedback and reception like, and what has that like felt to you?
So I haven't really played. The only live shows I've done have been virtual. So I haven't been able to be on a stage with a crowd, like interacting with people with like playing my live music yet, but I've been playing in bands for a while, and usually when I did the virtual shows, like people were super impressed, and just great feedback. I've only received like amazing support from everybody around me, so I'm super grateful.
Yeah, how
super happy. I haven't flopped yet. Yeah, like,
oh my god, no, girl, it's early. Don't say that.
Yeah.
So playing, you know, these like Zoom shows, I'm gonna assume like how, and you know, you said that you played in bands before, but where is the kind of the disconnect between the online platform and the real life platform?
I think that on live, like when I did a pre-recorded one and then I did like an actual live one. One I did was just me in a room, like playing to like a 2-track in the background. I think the disconnect there was the energy. Like I'm just in my room. It feels kind of awkward. I don't necessarily know what to say.
Because you know people are gonna see it,
right?
But it's also like your room, so it's like
exactly. I'm seeing no faces, right? I'm seeing no faces, so I'm just trying to project as much like hype energy, good energy as I can, and like hopefully they receive that through the screen. But that was the only thing. Like I couldn't see anybody in the screen. I don't hear anybody clapping. I don't hear anybody wooing, booing. You know, like because I need that.
And that's the atmosphere for a performer.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you get used to it.
Right.
And shit like that. Yeah.
Right.
So, what was the moment in working on this new music that you decided, holy crap, this is going to be an EP? And like, was there a moment that it was like that? Or was it, again, kind of like a gradual assumption kind of a thing?
So this EP was very intentional. I made the first song literally 2 days after finishing Awfulsome. So like the title track, New Stages, I made that a couple of days after, and I was like, this is a completely different sound. I was like, where did this come from? So I like sat with it for a while. I sent it to Abner Dennis, who was like a producer and engineer I worked closely with, fire songwriter too. And he was like, we can make this crazy. He like mixed it down. So I've been sitting with this song for like
a year.
A year, yeah, literally a year. And I think that after that song came into like fruition, all the songs after like kind of fell into place because I wanted a similar sound. I was just going for that same feeling that came out of that first track.
And has that first track changed since like you first wrote it a bit, or has it just like been like you wrote it, you mixed it, you produced it, and that's just how it's been?
It was like done deal.
Okay,
like,
done deal.
After Abner did his production on it, I was like, we're not touching it.
That's it, you're not touching it.
I was like, it's perfect. It's literally like,
there you go.
I love it. So yeah.
And then everything else reflect, like you use that as like the
Around
foundation, the base of the new project. That's dope as hell, man. Like honestly, it really is super interesting to talk about and like hear, because you hear a lot of artists be like, yeah, we've been sitting with the song for like 5 years and it's changed completely from its original thing. You know, it's really cool that you have like the vision for that song and for the rest of the EP and everything like that, and just seeing how it all coincides together. That's really impressive.
Thank you.
So how, since we're talking about this new EP and stuff, how has your previous stuff been different from what you're currently working on? And like, yeah, how do they differ? Where's the contrast point?
Honestly, when I listen to my old stuff, I find it kind of corny, but just also because I was like 15, like writing these songs, and like you only have so much life experience when you're like 15, 14, and I feel like depending on what you're going through, but my life was pretty basic. you know.
Yeah.
So
also 15-year-olds are know-it-alls, bro.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. We're
they
like,
know
oh my
everything.
god, like super
It's
melodramatic.
like everything is about me, the world is all about
yeah,
me, you
exactly.
know. And then you have the perspective, like when you get older.
Right,
and
I'm
stuff.
like, nothing is about me. I'm literally irrelevant. Like, like
not
in the
that
grand
irrelevant.
scheme
Yeah.
of things, in the grand scheme of things. But I think that the difference between these two projects are that in Awfulsome, I was trying to make the beats super complicated, and then the writing super I was just trying to make music to impress people. I think that.
Right, so kind of like to prove a point.
Right, and the new stuff, I'm just trying to capture a feeling in the easiest, like, simplest way possible, because I want things to translate without people having to, like, analyze too deeply into it. I just want them to be like, this song makes me feel incredible or extremely sad sometimes, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
it
you
makes
just
them
wanted
feel.
to sit with people and
I wanted
resonate.
to overwhelm people with emotion.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's, that's a goal,
basically.
you know?
Yeah.
I think you can nail it, personally.
you.
I've heard your stuff.
Yeah.
I have been overwhelmed by it, bro. So if anything, you know, you got me.
Thank you.
You don't need anything else, I guess. Yeah, so in going about making this album, we just talked about, you know, how the first track was perfect and it was complete and everything. How are you really going about making the rest of it emotionally, spiritually, technically, lyrically? Like, I want to hear all of it. Yeah.
So emotionally, like, as a teenager coming out into the world, trying to become an adult, and your only influences after, like, right after high school, being you're stuck in the room by yourself, I feel like there's a limitation on growth a bit. So when I started to come outside, explore new people, make new friends, and really understand myself, I was like, okay, I feel very confident. I feel, like, happy. So I feel like the project is not necessarily sad, but
it does reflect, like, a lot of the...
It's bittersweet. Yeah, it's bittersweet. And it's like, I just want... I just want to translate that in the music, and spiritually, it's been super chill. I feel like spiritually, I'm on the very, like, I'm at peace. Like, I have literally a song
that's awesome,
on the project, like, that's literally peace, and it's literally talking about that. I'm like, I'm vibing, I'm good, I'm straight.
And that's how it
My
should be.
head's clear, yeah. And technically was a whole different thing. We're still trying to figure out, because now it's in the mixing process.
Yeah.
So we want a very dirty,
so
clean sound. It's very weird.
So kind of like down to earth somewhat, or a little bit... Okay, so I got that completely wrong.
It's basically, I want this to be as trippy as possible. I want people to freak out when they're listening in headphones. I want it to feel like an outer body experience, basically, like astral projection. So the concept that Abner had, he's mixing the project. He was like, I want it to sound kind of like a vinyl. We have a song that, you know, all the drums are pretty distorted. It's super warm. That's the sound I want.
Okay.
It's super warm and hollow almost, because the vocals are sitting, like, right in the middle, and then the music is just, like, surrounding it, almost like a protective barrier around the vocals, and they just flow through the air. So that's like, technically, that's what I want to go for.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot of new music words. Yeah. I never knew a song could be warm or hollow or something. Yeah. But I guess I have to listen to the EP.
Exactly, it's not full.
Try to, like, put the words to the sounds and try to, like, mix it all together. No, but it is really interesting, like, what you brought up about coming out as, like, a, you know, a high schooler, and, like, you know, you have all of these expectations, because, you know, like, after high school, everybody's like, oh, your life is gonna get so much better. Yeah. It's gonna be, you know, you're gonna do things, gonna meet great people, and, like, become yourself. And then it was, like, stalled. Like, all of this potential is, like, building up, all of this excitement, and then it's just like, the ball is dropped, and you're just there in your room. You know, so capturing that noise and that feeling for a lot of people, because that's going to be a very interesting memory that we have.
Right, it's kind of traumatic.
Yeah, a little bit. Oh, for a lot of people it was, bro.
For a lot of people, like, especially people in households that are not too healthy for them, like, I'm sure, like, it's super traumatic. So yeah, I want to capture that same that feeling.
You know, and then also make it like an out of body experience.
Yeah, and all hollow and warm.
Yeah, and warm.
And dirty.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
But clean at the same time. Yeah.
So, in working on this album, working on this EP, was there, like, something or, like, a moment where you were working on a song, or, like, you were writing a lyric or something that kind of change the way you view your own music or the way that you make your own music, and like just work us through the process, like really just go into your musical talent ability.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any moments I've had while doing this. I think the 4th track on the project, after finishing, because I made it here. Abner came over one day, and it was like the day before he moved to LA, and we sat down. He basically did the whole beat himself. I just played like bass and guitar, and I wrote all the way through up until this one part where it's like it like opens up, and I was just like, I don't know what to say. So I sat with it like for like a couple weeks, and then I finally like came back to it, and I just like went like full out on the song. And I think that's something I've been holding back on, is like allowing my voice to just like sing,
really,
like to really sing,
through, yeah.
like to actually sing. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it's like I was like insecure about my singing ability before, because I'm surrounded by so many talented musicians like in my circle that can belt, are doing crazy runs, but I just started understanding my voice more, and like I'm not gonna, that's not my style, and I have my own voice and my own
yeah, you need to make sure it fits
style.
in with the rest of the album,
Exactly.
with the rest of your with what your work is,
right?
You know?
And my voice doesn't need to be crazy if I'm conveying and like a feeling. Like I don't have to have crazy runs. I just have to be able to make people connect with people. So I think that was the biggest thing for me when I heard it. I was just like, oh man, I was like, I really like this. Like I don't really listen to my own music outside of like working on it. So when I heard this song, I was like, I would listen to this. Like I listen to it in the car. I listen to it in headphones all the time. I'm like in like different situations. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I really like this. So I think it's getting like more into my own music.
Yeah, just really like
sitting with it outside of working on it.
Yeah, definitely. And this took you like weeks to do, like that one part. How long does it take you to normally write your music?
It depends. I can make a beat in like 20 minutes, and then like Abner and I have had sat in here for like maybe an hour and had a song done completely in maybe like an hour or two. It really depends on the vibe and like what I'm trying to say, if how complicated I'm trying to make the lyrics. Sometimes it just comes out. Sometimes it takes a lot more time. Like Peace is the second or third track on the song, and I went to the studio at like 4 a.m. with producer Xander Zell, and he made the beat in like 20 minutes. I had lyrics already by the time the beat was even done, like before the beat was even done. It's a short song, but it was so fast and so straightforward that it just really depends. Like I've sat with songs for a year. I've sat with songs for like a day and been like, this is done. So it really just depends on the vibe that I'm getting.
And so do you like see the songs that you like were with longer a little bit differently than the ones that you just like turned out in an hour, or like are they all like your musical gifts, babies that you're putting into the EP or whatever?
You know, I definitely unfortunately have favorites. I think the ones that take longer that I'm frustrated with, that I'm like, what is it that I'm missing, that I'm really like stressed out about, when I don't stress it and then I just come back to it, I'm like, oh, I'll brush it off for a little bit, I come back to it and I'm like, I got it. I think when I put less pressure on myself also, I think I love the song more when there's a lot less pressure. And I don't know why I put so much pressure on myself. Like, it's a song, it's not that deep. I can make a million more. But I think it's definitely the ones that take a short, or feel more natural, not necessarily the amount of time, but feel more natural in terms of the flow of the workflow.
Yeah, definitely. Because I know, like, I'm just as a writer, definitely it's also a very similar feeling where like there are days where you can like just churn out a piece of work and just look at it and be like, yeah, that's how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And then other ones that take you like months to come back to, that you're like, you keep looking at it and you're like,
it's literally like one word. I'm like, one word and like it'll change completely, but it is what it is.
Yeah. And do you take like along, like lyrically, do you, with the stuff that takes a bit longer to do you like to have like more convoluted lyrics sometimes, or is it straight up just like what you're thinking just into the song?
I think that depending on the story, I like to focus on the story. I'm like, I sit down before even like writing, and I'll write keywords. I'll just be like, what is popping to my mind, keywords, and then I'm like, okay, what's the story around these like couple words? And so like I start to build, and the story eventually progresses with my like vivid imagination. I just go into delusion of, you know, breakup stories or like heartfelt, you know, stories about,
and just pick out the vibe, and see what works. Yeah,
exactly. But I like to focus around the story because it makes it a lot easier to focus on what I'm trying to say. Sometimes, honestly, I just say one word and then one sentence, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna say another one that sounds like it makes sense. A lot of the time, it does not make sense. If you look like a lot of my new stuff is just does not. Don't be making sense.
It's just
but
words,
it does.
just vibes.
It's literally just vibes. I'm just describing like the room. I'll be like, I'm in a room, blue lights, vibes, like
vibes,
something like that. Yeah, like
blue lights,
blue lights, vibes. Exactly, but it won't necessarily make sense to me. But I feel like when people hear it, they're like, yeah, I'm like, this makes sense to me.
Yeah, and that also might be like
cool. Like
definitely. It also might be like the thing like in English class where it's like the writer is like, the curtains are blue, and then like in English class you're like, the curtains are blue because the sorrow and the despair, and it's like, bro, the curtains were just blue.
They're just blue. Like homie just likes blue, and it's like music is not. I think that's also something I learned while working on this project, is that not everything has to be about. Like, it can just literally be a song, like a happy song, like you're just talking about nothing. Like the Beatles, they have a song that's literally about not looking too deep into a song. Like, I'm a walrus, cuckoo, choo. Like,
yeah, literally.
Come on, man. They weren't talking about anything.
They were just going out. They were just like vibes. Just write the words,
just
bro.
write the words out, man.
Confuse the hell out of people, man.
Because, yeah, it's an art form, but it's also fun. Like, it's also play. So.
Yeah, right. Because I feel like a lot of people forget that, like, music is also just supposed to be, like, a fun thing and not, like, meticulously crafted, like super hard, you know, like, you know, talent, skill, like it could just be song.
It is what it is. Yeah, that's what I used to do all the time. I'd be like stressed. Oh my god, I need to get these words right. Like nobody's gonna understand. But now I'm like, I don't care. Like it makes sense. The melody's nice. Like
it sounds good.
Yeah, not that I don't care, but yeah, it sounds nice. So if it sounds good, it's just gonna feel good.
Right, and in your lyrics, like with the keywords and everything, does your music, like as you're mixing it and as you're producing it, like reflect that, or do you like sometimes have like lyrics that say like that feel like one thing and then the music that's just like completely like off the rails from it?
I think sometimes that's the goal, is to make something that like a sad song, like the beat's sad but the lyrics are super happy, or the opposite where the beat's super happy and the lyrics are super sad. But I do like to reflect, like respond to the lyrics. So if I'm like my head's underwater, like I'll put like an effect on it, makes it sound super spaced out. In this project, we do that a lot. It's really cool. I wish I could explain it like in words,
okay,
like the sound.
To, like, listen to
I was about to be like, like it sounds like this, but nah. Yeah, it's when you listen to it, like
it sounds like this. You just pull it up on your laptop.
Yeah,
and no. Yo, all right.
I can't describe it in words, but yeah, I like to reflect and play with lyricism in the beat. It makes it a lot more cohesive.
That's good. Yeah, definitely. So what with this new EP, you know, obviously there's a lot of, you know, anticipation I'm feeling from you, like coming, like just like bringing it out, and even though like you are more relaxed about the process, it's still, you know, a lot of excitement, and like, you know, it's something that you want to put out. So what do you hope that this EP will say about you as an artist moving forward?
Ooh. I hope that it shows. I wanted to say that I'm open to like being experimental. I'm open to as much creativity as possible, and there's no limitation on which way I'm gonna go. I want people to be like, okay, so what is she gonna do next? Because it doesn't sound like the last project, and it's definitely not gonna sound like the project after, which I've actually already started.
Oh, sick!
So I just want people to like it. Honestly, I don't necessarily put a lot of pressure on myself to impress other people. I just like to make what I think sounds good, and if my friends like it, that's cool. But I'm honestly just having fun, so I want people to see that also, and just respect that, and just respect me as an artist.
Yeah, so would you say that this is like an experimental EP?
Definitely. I've never made any stuff like this ever. I don't know where it came from. So it's definitely on the experimental side, like especially in the form. it's very free flowing. There's not like a lot of structure. Only in a couple of songs there's really structure. So it's definitely more.
Yeah, and it's just about like, you know, pushing your own limits as an artist and really just figuring yourself out through the music.
Yeah.
You started talking a bit about how, you know, you wanted people to like obviously enjoy the music and everything, and how you also wanted to provide, like sonically speaking, kind of like an out of body experience, right? Is there anything that you hope people will take away from this EP, or like anything specifically that you want them to experience, like that you wrote with the intent of like, oh, this will sound really cool, I think people will enjoy this?
I think I do speak about mental health a lot in this project, so I want people to go into themselves, explore themselves, learn more about themselves. I hope that this project encourages them to do that. Not necessarily they'll be like, oh my god, I listened to this song and my life has changed. Yeah, like, bro. You know, it might not change their life, but at least it will just like encourage them to explore themselves. And maybe if they like the song, you know, eventually it's gonna like subliminally make you want to meditate.
Subliminal message.
Yeah, subliminal messages. Exactly.
That's the goal of the song, is to just implant messages in the listener's brain.
Love yourself. Like,
positive messages, not any of that CIA shit, you know, where it's like, here are the coordinates for ... blah 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 blah, you know?
Right. No, literally. So yeah, I just want people to learn more about themselves, and understanding yourself, I feel like, is a big part of becoming part of a community, because once you understand yourself, it becomes a lot easier to welcome people into your lives and to understand others. So
yeah, and that kind of reflects like your own process in making this album. Like you said that this is an experimental album. I said that right, sure. And so, you know, it was a lot of your own self-looking in, and then that reflects in the album, and that is kind of what you want to encourage within the listeners a bit.
Everybody, I feel like naturally we're focused on the external a lot, and we assume that things are going wrong around us because of the external, and it's really something's going on here. And after you get that settled, I promise everything will work out. Like kind of weird, but it works out amazing around you.
People forget that every now and again, but it's good. It's good to bring that into your music so they can't avoid it any longer.
Right, exactly.
You know?
I'm like, yo,
they listen to music as an escape, and it's like, no,
yeah,
no escaping from this, bro.
Yeah, no, exactly. Don't run from your feelings. That's literally what I want to do. And just like
that's good,
pull you back in, pull you back in, and be like, ground you. Yeah.
So you mentioned briefly that you're already thinking about a next potential project, right? Is there anything that you're looking forward to doing once this is released and once this is like out to people and like your hands are off of it and stuff?
So I think the visuals that I have in mind are a big part of this project. I want them to go hand in hand. I want it to be super trippy. I think putting out the visual will be like super exciting to have maybe like a watch party with like my friends and just see like their reactions to it in real time. Because someone listening to it and being like, oh, I listened to it, I liked it, it was cool, but I like to watch people and see how their body language reacts, or like how their face changes when they hear a song, or if they don't like the song, like if like what about it is turning them off. Really just I love feedback, whether it's like constructive, negative, positive. I just like to hear what people are thinking, how they perceive my art, and what they're thinking about me, like how they perceive me through my music. Because I think a lot of people assume I'm a certain type of way because of the way my music sounds, which is usually kind of accurate. It's kind of scary. I don't like being read like that. But it is what it is. So yeah, I think that's a big part. And then performing live, I'm trying to find out.
Yeah,
I've been thinking about live arrangements for this, because a lot of it is mostly in the box, which means like done on the computer. So I'm I don't know.
Yeah, just figuring
out. I don't know
what
I'm gonna do for that. Yeah. But
yeah.
I'm super excited to explore that too.
So you talked about, you know, what you want to do after the album and like, you know, have all of these visuals and stuff. And you mentioned wanting to perform again. How do you feel like that first performance is gonna go down, and like what do you anticipate from that?
I actually have my first performance. I have a performance coming up next month. So I'm going to be rehearsing for that.
That's actually crazy, bro.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I'm not headlining. It's not like it's my show. So, but
right.
I think a vision that I would have for any live performance would just me not to exert too much energy and like pass out, like anything that's really detrimental. I don't care about falling. I'll fall all day, get back up and keep going.
Get back up, keep
yeah,
keep
exactly. That
How
doesn't
be a
embarrass me at all.
trademark
I've been
of
falling
your-
since I was like born. I'm clumsy, but I think just an energetic crowd. I want to hear people sing my songs, like scream my lyrics at the top of their lungs. I want to see mosh pits. I want to stage dive. I want to do a lot, maybe a little too
okay,
much.
so like the whole rock star kind of vibe, just have people going crazy, throw yourself into the crowd.
I want chaos. I want a lot of chaos, and then I want to bring it back down.
And then you bring it
yeah
for the slower song.
exactly,
you know,
and be like love yourself, and then be like okay, back to chaos. But yeah, no, definitely energy is everything. So I just want excited. The people were excited to see me. I'm always excited to meet other people, so that's never an issue. But I just want good vibes. And amazing feedback. Yeah.
You know, and if you go into your music with good vibes, that's the reception that you're gonna get. I feel, you know, you're gonna have critics or whatever, you know, but I've heard your music. I genuinely think that, you know, whenever you do play live, it's gonna be a blast, and that people are gonna enjoy your stuff.
I'm excited. I'm nervous.
Already? Yeah.
I'm like, I've been thinking about it. Like, I do not sleep. I'm like, up. I'm like, oh my god. I've gone over the set list like 15 times. I've changed it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot going on.
Okay, I can imagine, bro. Last question, right? Far ahead of, you know, after this album, after this EP is released, and you know, once the dust is kind of settled a little bit, what do you most look forward to experimenting with? And you know, it doesn't have to be music. It could just be generally anything. You know.
I'm looking forward to experimenting with how I perform live and what my stage presence is gonna look like. I'm still trying to figure that out. I mean, I want to travel a lot more and just collaborate with as many people as I can. I want to experiment with, in terms of music, just taking new instruments and getting weird with stuff and mixing old sounds with new ones and collaboration. Really, I want more people involved. I want to build a team around me, so it's not just me in my room looking all creepy and sad.
And I can imagine that'll, you know, make whatever you do produce in the future a lot easier too, because you know, you have ideas to bounce off of people, and you have like different things that you might not have thought of thrown at your music and such.
And it's a lot more fun too. I love working with people, especially when we all get along outside of music. It makes the connection 10 times better, because I have people like come in and we don't really vibe. Like, it's still super awkward. They don't get a chance to get to know me. I'm trying to ask them questions. They're kind of like brushing me off. I'm like, okay. And the music never turns out as good. But when I'm making with my friends, people that I get to know.
Yeah, because you know, it's all a vibe, and it's all like, you know, you can focus more on the music and not like, is this person uncomfortable?
Do you
I'm
like
uncomfortable.
me? Like, do you hate me? Like, yeah, exactly. And when everybody's just open, it makes it a lot easier to just express yourself freely.
Yeah. So very excited to see what you got going on. If the viewers at home would like, there's going to be an article paired up with this interview that's just a little bit more in depth about your process and everything. And then, you know, just this whole experience just written up, you know, so go check that out when you get the chance. Shout out to Grain of Salt Mag for letting us sit down, take over their website a little bit. You know, the floor is yours. Any last words that you have to say about anything?
Thank you, Grain of Salt. Appreciate you guys. Stream my music, check me out, and I hope you enjoy it. Reach out to me, let me know what you think. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sitting down with us.
Of course.
If I break away